So now I want to discuss the PPC campaigns. So the PPC campaigns, tell us about launching without PPC campaign. What's the impact? Any alternatives? Give us your thoughts, but factor into that also the impact of an interrupted PPC campaign due to payment or whatever the case may be, or out of stock. Obviously, you mentioned, and that means it's immediately off. What is the impact of an interruption in PPC campaign?
Well, it's never go out of stock is the first commandment on Amazon for a reason, right? It takes 2 weeks to recover from an out of stock event minimum. Your ACoS will be higher, your conversion will be lower, your rankings, all of it has to be rebuilt. So avoid that at all costs whenever possible. I'd rather raise my prices and slow down sales than go out of stock. Then there's subscribe and save constraints and all those other challenges. We could factor that one in all day long. But when first launching a product, I recommend putting 80% of your budget into broad match and auto campaigns and go for some long tail keyword wins. And you're going to be seeing a lot of negations are required in your first couple weeks of the upkeep. That's the downside. But the upside is that you're going to discover a lot of new keywords. You'll then be able to update the title and update the main image and put the keyword on the packaging and figure out like what's going to have the biggest impact. And you'll discover a lot of things. Never negate a good keyword. I can't emphasize this enough. If you have a keyword that's working on broad match or auto, leave it alone. It will continue to produce for you for all time. Yes, you can have an extra exact match campaign, but what you will often find, more often than not, at least 60% of the time, the ACoS will be lower on the auto and broad campaign for that same keyword. And the reason for that is because everybody ran their mouth about exact match campaigns a couple years ago, and everybody sets them up and bids higher on them, and they ignore broad match. And Amazon's like, well, I got this extra inventory over here. I'll serve it to you for cheap because you're doing broad match. And that's where you can win. So it's about putting your dollar for maximum gain. I'll give you an example. I launched a gift box a couple years ago for Mother's Day, and I was able to get $144,000 in sales in 30 days. This was my own product launch. I spent $11,000 on ads. 8,000 of that was on broad match gifts for mom, excuse me. $8,000 gifts for mom broad match. Guess what happened? 24 hours before Mother's Day, I had the #1 organic slot for gifts for mom because of that PPC campaign. Wow. So broad match, super underrated, and it's super easy to set up.
And what do you think about those broad match modifiers that they recommend?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of advanced techniques. I was trying to keep it on the basic based on the protocol you gave me, but yes, you can do day parting where you bid up certain times a day. Yes, you can do bid modifiers and show up at the top of search. All of these things are possible, but a lot of the sexiness of some of those techniques wear off after a year. Why? Because everybody starts doing it and then overbidding and over-indexing on those techniques, and so they work less, right? So if you just want to keep things basic and easy and just do broad match and auto and set up, you'll be super surprised how easy basics scale.
Yeah.